Naruto vs Delta is a very important fight within the series and one very often misunderstood and misinterpreted by a large majority of the readers, which is quite tragic for a few reasons that you'll pick up on during the video, but I am hoping this will serve as kind of a wake-up call into what actually happened and was going on in that fight, and also really explaining the power of Delta and Naruto at this point. I'll probably even touch on the other Delta forms we see throughout the manga, like the new and improved Bronco version we get after she gets swapped over to the Leaf side of things, but that will be later on down the line if anything, so stay tuned for that. But without further ado, let's just get into the video. Quickly, there's a couple things I'd like to get out of the way instantly. Was Naruto holding back, or was he going all out with killing intent? For most people, the answer here is simple. Yes, he was holding back, and no, he wasn't trying to delete her, but this is where they're wrong. While I won't flat out say that Naruto was fighting at his most peak full capabilities, it's also very disingenuous to say he wasn't trying and was holding back, even though it was clearly demonstrated that he was trying his best regardless of his surroundings. This is all something I'll explain when the time comes while looking at the fight, so let's just start right at the beginning with chapter 31. Now, the way I like to separate this fight in my head is in two parts. Part 1 is the sequences up to page 30 where they both start going all out as stated by Naruto, and part 2 is everything that follows, since this is really the turning point and where the real fight starts. As we all should know, Naruto was holding back and not trying to kill Delta, but instead get information from her in the first phase of this fight, but many people blow this way out of proportion and completely disregard everything that happens no matter the instance just because of that fact, even when one thing has nothing to do with the other. This honestly isn't really too big of a deal considering nothing huge does happen that could turn the tide on the topic of Delta's strength, but the one thing that I did think was interesting to note is that even though both of them weren't exactly trying their hardest, Naruto did still feel the need to use a form above base while fighting her, which is then reinforced later on by him being forced to use the 6th path stage mode when he stayed it all out. While in this form, he was actually able to get caught off guard by Delta morphing her legs to stab him in the chest. We do find out later he was acting hurt and weakened from this, but I don't believe he actually meant to get hit here at all. You can see the ellipses when he first got impaled, meaning it was a surprise reaction. Like I said, this doesn't really change anything and is kind of useless information compared to what we get in the next couple of chapters, but I did think I should at least add something here for this part that goes overlooked and unmentioned. Getting into the second stage of this fight, there is a lot to unpack and go over, so let's start with the most important page of this matchup and the one that decides the split between warm-up fight and real action, which is page 30. I'll have this on screen so you can look to see, but this is where they both power up and start using their full strength as stated. This right here shuts down basically every Naruto was holding back argument and take alone, as the man himself, Naruto, says, and I quote, "I'll be going all out now too." I didn't think I needed to break this down any further, but I guess I will because I've genuinely had people say Naruto lied when saying this, and then also have seen people just want to ignore it, but it's there and he did not lie. You can even see later on down the line, Naruto, if anything, gets mental amped further and still can't instantly blitz Delta as proof of this, and just in case you're one of the people who thought Delta wasn't holding back previously, you can visibly see the aura form around her and her enter a different powered up state while she says she's decided to dismember Naruto alive, and by Naruto saying, "I'll be going all out now too," emphasis on the "two" in that section adds credit to this as well. Now, from this point on, a lot of taijutsu exchanges happen, and I'm not going to go over every single thing, but there are numerous pages and panels of Naruto and Delta being completely even in exchanges, both blocking hits and getting attacks of their own off on each other, which is pretty huge because if Naruto was so much faster than Delta, he'd blitz her, or be able to get way more hits onto Delta that she couldn't block, but that is just not the case. It's instead very clear that in terms of taijutsu and combat speed, these these two are fairly relative to each other, which is not something any other character up until this point, aside from Sasuke, ever shown in the Naruto and Boruto manga can achieve, which is a monumental feat in itself and not something Delta ever gets credit for. If we skip ahead to the next chapter, we actually get some key inner dialogue from Naruto, and keep in mind, this is him talking in his head, so there's no refuting anything said here or claiming it's lies, but basically he is deducing that her regenerative abilities are top tier, so he can't just destroy the limbs because they'll grow back, and that he also can't just attack head on because she can absorb it. This here is once again reinforcing the fact that this has to boil down to a taijutsu fight, because if Naruto just throws out Rasengans like he would in Shippuden, they just get sucked in and launched back at him, which obviously wouldn't be ideal in this situation. So I'll say this once again. Regardless of how you feel about the setting or surroundings in this fight, Naruto himself said just throwing out a magnitude of Rasengans or Biju bombs just wouldn't be effective in this scenario. Directly following this from Naruto, we get Kawaki and Boruto talking, where it said that the Hokage is in control right now, and that the Hokage's ability completely surpasses Delta's, which once again, like everything said about the 7th during this fight, is blown out of proportion and taking the context straight out of it, leading to these takes and opinions that Naruto is still holding back, and that he is so many tiers above Delta, which is just not true. Is Naruto stronger than Delta? Yes, that's very obvious. We see the fight happen and he won fair and square. But that's not the point of this video at all. No one is arguing that Delta is stronger or completely equal to Naruto, just that she is close enough to him and displays numerous counts of relativity to him in equal close quarters combat, which puts her above most other characters in the verse and definitively scales her above the likes of Shippuden Madara, which I've seen many people argue over. Adding to the whole Naruto completely surpasses Delta statement from Kawaki, while I do think it's true and fair to say his abilities are above Delta's, I think the word completely is being misinterpreted and being used as saying that Naruto's ability is leaps and bounds and so extremely above Delta's, instead of the other and what I believe is the correct way this statement was being made, being all aspects of Naruto's fighting ability is above hers, which would mean his fighting ability completely surpasses hers. Lastly, let's discuss this Naruto statement where he said, "It might have been easier if I were just killing her, but I made an extra effort to keep her alive." This here is where most people get confused because they just assume that he let his ass get beat and held back even though his children were in danger, and also lied about going all out for some completely unknown reason, instead of the more logical interpretation being that he held back the Rasengan that dealt the final blow to where it didn't fully destroy her. There's no way you see these panels of Naruto huffing and puffing like crazy, clearly being fatigued and even struggling to come up with any sort of plan to seal a concrete victory over Delta, and still sit here and say that he wasn't trying or was severely holding back, on top of the fact that Naruto deeply cares for those 3 kids, and after Delta deliberately tries to remove them from existence with her laser beam, and Boruto himself noting that his dad is really mad, is honestly the most blatant form of mental gymnastics one person has to do to still convince themselves that Naruto was holding back throughout the later parts of this fight. Hey, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I make Boruto and Naruto videos, whether that's a versus battles, power scaling, or more of an analysis take on certain aspects within the series, and to basically all things Narutoverse related, so check those out. Join the Discord and become a channel member, and yeah, like usual, have a good day.